Good morning, folks. We're going to start with the approval of the agenda. Do I have a motion to approve the agenda?
Motion.
Second? Amend? Okay, there's a motion to amend the agenda. Do I have a second?
Second.
All in favor? Aye. Any opposed? Motion passes. The approval of the agenda has been amended. We're going to move to the approval of the minutes, the October 26th regular meeting. Is there a motion to approve the minutes from the October 26th regular meeting? Is there a second? See any discussion? Seeing no discussion, I call in question. All in favor of approving the agenda, the minutes from October 26th, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any against? Any abstentions? Approval of the minutes have passed. President's remarks. As we approach the season of Thanksgiving, we're reminded of many blessings that surround us. This time of year offers us an opportunity to reflect on what we're truly grateful for: our families, our friends, our sense of community that unites us all. This year, as we gather around our tables, let's also take a moment to recognize the incredible spirit of collaboration and kindness that defines our community. Together, we face challenges, celebrated achievements, and created a place where everyone can feel at home. It's because of each of you that our community continues to grow. On behalf of the Board of Directors, I want to express our heartfelt gratitude to all of you, our residents, neighbors, volunteers, and leaders. Your dedication, support, and contributions are what make this place truly a special place. As we celebrate the season of giving, let's continue to support one another and look forward to brighter days ahead, wishing you and your loved ones a joyful and peaceful Thanksgiving. Just a heads up, the Ocean Pines Farmers and Artisans Market is holding its traditional Thanksgiving markets today and Tuesday the 26th, 9 to 12 at the Whitehorse Park Marketplace. The Veterans Day ceremony that took place at our beautiful new Worcester County Veterans Memorial in Ocean Pines this past November 11th was a spectacular success. It's a beautiful, beautiful building. I want to thank the team that got that done: John Viola, Marie Gilmore, the entire group. The educational outreach programs brings every Worcester County student to that memorial for a field trip each year. For further information about the Worcester County Veterans Memorial Foundation, you can visit them at www.wocorvets.org. Ocean Pines Association will begin its annual bag leaf collection service Monday, continuing through Friday, January 3rd, to assist residents in their fall cleanup. So everybody get your leaves raked. Don't put them in the ditch. Current advisory committee openings, folks. If you are looking to volunteer, we could use you on the Environmental and Natural Assets Committee, the Aquatics Committee, the Budget and Finance Committee, and the Architectural Review Committee. If anybody's interested, please contact Linda Martin at lmartin@oceanpines.org. Okay, we're going to go move on to our general manager's report. John?
Thank you, Stuart. Before I start, I'd like to introduce the chief and then the fire department. Chief.
Good morning, everybody.
Morning, Chief.
Good morning, everybody. Thank you for being here today. I stand before you. I want to tell you about a couple things. First thing, I want to just give you an update on some things that have been going on. So, the members of the Ocean Pine Police Department, since I last gave a traffic update, which was back at the September meeting, we've handled since then 138 traffic incidents, of which 50 were speeding related. We've caught 2 unlicensed drivers, 1 uninsured driver coming through Ocean Pines, which is always very concerning. A couple incidents of improper passing, 4 motor vehicle collisions, 2 DUIs. 2 DUIs here. One of the DUIs we handled was in the middle of the day at 12 noon. The 4 stop sign violations, 2 leaving the scene of an accident, and 1 child safety seat violation, where somebody did not put their young person in the proper child seat. This month, we've handled 2 incidents of vandalism. We've had to make 1 domestic assault arrest. We've had 1 possession of heroin that was related to that DUI, that DUI case in the middle of the day. 1 theft by fraud, and 2 theft by frauds, which is unfortunately it's a very growing crime in our society and one theft. I know. Primarily, I first want to mention the cell phone tower and a little bit of update on that. We've been in communication with a company called Milestone Towers of North Virginia. They are the company that built the tower in Cook County for the County Board of Education. They have towers at 3 sites. They've got towers at 3 sites at 3 high schools in Wacomico County. And I've been working with the administration at the school system there also to look at what kind of deals they got, look at their contracts, and to make sure what we're being offered is commensurate with what they're getting. Basically, if we move forward, looks like a standard that they would put the tower up at their expense. They would ensure that they get all the permits and everything. If we decide to move forward, we do have some proposals to look at. We do have some locations here on Ocean Pines property. They would come down. They would actually look at some of these pieces of property. They would decide which ones are the most viable of Ocean Pines property. And then if it's all good, once we sign the contract, they will pay a one-time fee prior to building the towers. Plus, it will be a monthly 40% revenue share for Ocean Pines. So I know everybody wants to hear about what happened last Saturday. We had a very tragic accident. Honestly, there's not a lot that I can talk to you about here from this podium. What was released on Saturday is about all that we can publicly release because it is under investigation. And we did bring the state police in to make sure that we do have the best investigation possible. Their reconstruction team is working on it, and it is not going to be an overnight resolution. And then once that is done, once they finish their investigation, we will then sit down. It's still an Ocean Pines Police Department case. They will bring it back to us, and then we will sit down with the state's attorney here in Worcester County to discuss any possible next steps. It was a very tragic incident all the way around. The only thing I can tell you, because there was a lot of people that thought it was not on the roadway. The accident itself did not occur on the roadway. It did occur off the roadway on the right side, but it was a very tragic incident all the way around. And we are going to make sure that we do the best investigation possible to get the best answers and come to the best possible resolution on this case. Thank you. If anybody has any, I'm here if anybody has any questions.
Thank you, Chief.
Thank you, Chief.
Joe? Joe and Steve from the Fire Department.
Good morning, everyone.
Joe.
How are we doing? The cold, windy Saturday. As John said, my name is Joe. I am with the Ocean Pines Volunteer Fire Department. Today, I just want to go over a couple holiday safety things now that we're approaching the holiday season. First and foremost, Thanksgiving cooking safety. Cooking is actually the leading cause of home fires during the holidays. So make sure that you're always staying in your kitchen while you're frying, grilling, broiling. It doesn't really matter. If you've got a kitchen appliance on, you should stay near there. So that way, in case there is a problem, you can react accordingly, okay? Also, make sure that you keep anything that's flammable, like kitchen towels, pot holders, or even those groceries that we bring in from the store and set down on our cooktop. Let's not do that. Let's keep it away from there so that way we don't accidentally bump into the knob, turn it on, and then we have melted plastic and bread burning on our stove. The other thing that is really important around Thanksgiving is a lot of folks are turning to turkey fryers for cooking their Thanksgiving bird. And while that's great and fine, we have to make sure we're doing it safely. Number one, make sure that turkey fryer is far away from your house or anything else that's combustible. Also, make sure that turkey is, if it's a frozen turkey, make sure it's fully thawed. Anytime that you put frozen turkey right in a fryer, you're going to create a reaction that is going to cause it to instantly boil over, catch on fire, and it will cause a lot of problems. So please be careful with that. There's lots of injuries and accidents that happen every year around turkey fryers. We'll be putting out some videos this week on social media about turkey fryer safety, so please feel free to check that out. The other thing I just want to point out as we get closer to the Christmas season, for those that are using live Christmas trees, please make sure that you are watering them, not only leading up to Christmas, but after Christmas. As long as you have that tree up, you should continue to water it, because Christmas trees are extremely flammable. If it starts to get dried out, it takes very little for that tree to go up in a matter of seconds. Additionally, when you are thinking about where you're placing your tree, make sure you keep it away from any heat source. So your fireplaces, if you have any type of like space heaters, keep it at least 3 feet away from there, and make sure that you're using Christmas lights or any type of lighting on live trees and wreaths that are actually approved and UL rated. A lot of folks can just go on Amazon right now and purchase, lights and things like that, and it seems like a great deal, or off of Temu. However, not all things are created equal, and they don't always are meeting the US standard for safety. So please be careful with that. The only other thing I want to point out is we are still working on fundraising for the year. We have our truck raffle that's going on right now. Tickets are $100. We are going to do the raffle on December 21st after our Santa ride. We're going to have Santa ride through the community and then come back to the train garden at the North Station, and we'll do the raffle there afterwards. Speaking of the train garden, it opens up tonight at 6 o'clock at the North Station, and then we'll be running it every Friday, Saturday, and Sunday throughout the new year. So please make sure you stop by. It is free. We've doubled the size of it this year, so there's a lot more to see. And then we are continuing to do our Queen of Hearts raffle. The jackpot is now $53,555. So tickets are $5. Don't forget to purchase them weekly. And that's all I got this morning. Thank you, everybody.
Chief,
Thank
I
you,
have
Joe.
a quick question, Chief. Do you suggest if you're going to have a live tree in the house, you have a fire extinguisher nearby?
It's not a bad idea. Live trees are just inherently dangerous. Rather it be rather it be a fire extinguisher, a fire blanket, something like that. Just be careful around them. The more that you
You're good.
the more the drier that tree gets, the more dangerous it is. There's videos that a tree can go up in about 30 seconds to a minute just from a little spark when it gets super dry. So it wouldn't be a bad idea to have a fire extinguisher around just in case something does happen. Same thing with cooking fires. If you have a fire extinguisher, you can quickly try to smother that fire with that extinguisher or a fire blanket. I know in my house I have fire blankets, and we had an issue a couple weeks ago where we had a pot of grease that was getting too hot, and we quickly threw the blanket over it so that way we could get it out without it splashing on everybody. So
Thank you, Chief.
all right, thank you.
Okay. Go to the next slide. Next one. Okay, let's start off with the Veterans Memorial Pavilion. Dedication ceremony held prior to the Veterans Day event on November 11th. The main thing is the team got everything done. We got it on time, and we have a beautiful pavilion. But I do want to talk about the budget and the final estimates because I'm reading different things. And I just want to make sure it's clear to the good people of Ocean Pines. The preliminary estimate was approved by the board on December 13, 2023 for $100,000. It was a gazebo kit, and that was enhanced. The structure was enhanced. We were estimated at $150,000 February 2024. By the time we got all the estimates, all the brickwork, the detailed brick, we realized it was $200,000, but it was an enhanced structure, totally different from the first one. And that's why there was an increase. So this spells it all out. You see a picture's worth 1,000 words. All right, next one, golf. Okay, so golf continues to fuel the economy of Ocean Pines. The driving range building is scheduled for December. We are on track for that. The bridge on the fourth fairway, and I have a picture on the left, it's in dire need of replacement. We have a high level estimate at this time of about $40,000. I'm hoping to come to the board in December with the actual costs and the bids. It's planned to be done in January with minimal effect on the golf course. That has been all planned out. There's a sketch on the right, and we do have a sketch here in the room. Credits to Frank Brown. Credit to Frank Brown once again, who has always been there for me on everything. There is a sketch there. So we have that. That helped us to get the estimates somewhere around $40,000 starting in January.
Yeah, John, on the driving range building, I've had a few folks come to me asking whether or not during the time where there are not lessons being offered, will that building and the slots that are there be available for Ocean Pines residents to use and employ the driving range? So I
So,
assume they'd pay a fee for it, but which is not a problem, but they want to know if they can do it when there's not lessons being offered.
so you're right. And it was originally, I used it at one time. The answer is yes on that, as long as he doesn't have lessons in session. Did you say you were gonna put in a fee? I mean, I like the.
Well, I would assume we would charge a fee. Because we charge.
We'll
a
definitely
fee-
look at it.
we
That's there
charge a
for
fee a
everybody.
Bucket of balls, so I assume we would charge a fee.
Right. All right. But yes, obviously, as long as he doesn't have lessons.
Right.
And we'll work that out. I'll talk to Bob Beckelman on that.
Okay,
That's a
thank
good
you.
point. All right, turn the page. So continue. So continuing with golf, we have a lot going on there. As you know, we're doing a major irrigation project. We are ahead of schedule. For November, we will have the equipment, all the material is here at the pumping station right out there off the 9th green. They'll be working on that in November, December. And then we pretty much would put in all the different heads so that we can continue, if necessary, to water. But at this point, the reason we have it scheduled at this time is we don't anticipate that. So it's on track. I may be coming to the board somewhere in December with Justin to talk about next steps.
John,
Sure.
question, are we still thinking about maybe since our head's scheduled, keep it going?
Yes.
To be.
Yes, we're already talking with the vendor
Okay.
and planning it. There is certain areas where we would really like to get it done if the board and everybody sees fit. And it would be good prices, so yes. I'm hoping December. Yep. Racket sport renovations, we continue on that. We've talked about this for a long time. Looks like it's next up in the queue now that the pavilion or gazebo is completed. So we have a sketch here. We've seen the sketch before. There's been a lot of renditions, a lot of input. The project is scheduled to begin in the winter. December, I have a meeting next week with Whalen. The racket sports director did want to look at it one more time. The board had to approve this budget. And next step would be the architectural stage. And the goal is to complete this by Memorial Day. The major piece on this is the renovation and the upgrade of all the restrooms, as well as the front pro shop. Holiday decorations, this one is, I like it. So, you know, we have the electronic sign. I spoke to public relations and marketing. I was like, why not put something on there for the different holidays? So you can see on the right, some of the ideas we have. I'm opening it up to anybody constructively. Send us any comments or anything, any thoughts they have to info@oceanpines.org. And we'll certainly look at any enhancements or changes you're looking at on this. So I do want to reflect all the different holidays. We are also looking at structures for Kwanzaa as well as Hanukkah. Public Works believes they can do in-house the structure, so we'll know more over the next couple of weeks. A lot of enhancement there. I gotta be honest, I'm not totally sure what to say on this one, but let's move on and let's change this one. All right, so the budget, this one's good. 2025, 2026 budget. We are in the process, we're way ahead of schedule as well as last year. I did talk to everybody on this, and we are going to start scheduling meetings to review a pricing study. I feel one of the biggest things we need to do, especially with the amenities, is look at the pricing. We should always do that. That's a tool that I've always had wherever. So we will look at that. We will look at prior years, inflation factors, increases that we have or didn't make over the years, and make recommendations. So that's a big one. The increased cost of safety, I've spoken about that. Binders will be handed out to everybody right around the holidays, and then there's the dates. January 2nd and 3rd for budget and finance, and then the board review January 8th and 9th. Okay, Linda Martin.
Okay, starting to look like the holidays. Public Works put out the Santa house on yesterday and Rec and Parks is busy putting out the decorations in the park. Just a reminder, light up the pines. Registration, is through December 9th. That is the one that Chop Tank Electric sponsors. November 30th is a tree lighting ceremony at 6:30 White Horse Park. December 7th, Breakfast with Santa. December 10th, Vienna's Boys Choir. Tickets still are on sale. And December 21st is the Swim with Santa at Sports Corps Pool. Mailboxes, still working on phase one. Public Works, is trying to do in-house renovations instead of replacing the boxes. And the picture below shows a recent repair at Terrence Landing. Leaf maintenance, President spoke about this briefly. Republic is still picking up 4 bags with the normal trash pickup. Also having a special pickup, through November, December on Saturdays, paper bags only. Public Works will start picking up bag leaves starting next week through January 3rd. And the yard will be open except for holidays, 8 a.m. to 3 p.m., Monday through Saturday. If you have rake leaves on the road, they will not be picked up. And we will be starting actually the violations through CPI if we see a big pile of leaves that have been sitting there for quite some time. CPI violations, 116 new violations, 230 closed out, 193 still open. We are focusing on the maintenance and just want to highlight 71 of the 193 are illegal. Legal has closed out almost 100 violations since we sent to them. So they are doing a tremendous job to get these resolved. Work orders for October, 70 work orders, 88 still remain, majority in drainage, 43. We are getting an outside contractor to resolve some of those issues.
Linda,
That's right.
let me tell you, since I've been involved, this is the best production for your group to get things done. It's been a Herculean task. You've done an amazing job.
Mhm.
Only 88 open work orders. This is probably the lowest I've ever seen it.
Yeah.
Thank you. Thank you.
I'll pass that on to Public Works. Customer service, 124 emails and phone calls. We're getting a lot of general questions. Last month was a lot of Republic questions. We have 124, but if you have any questions, email info@oceanpines.org. I think so.
Yeah, thank you, Linda. All right, so let's start off with the month. So it was a good month. We did release the controllers report. So if you look at it, we compared to prior year as well as to budget. So go to the far right side. The column next to the last one is versus prior year. We are down versus prior year. It's mostly as we fill the police positions and some other areas basically that were unfavorable, but in general, it was good even compared to prior year. So budget, which is what we're supposed to report to, we're favorable. The budget, $62,000. As you know, we've always enhanced the budget each year. The $62,000 for the month is mainly driven on the amenity side by golf, aquatics, there's an offset on the yacht club, and we have some timing on public works. So good month. Very pleased with the results. Year to date?
Hey, John,
Sure.
on police, I think maybe Chief Robinson may have told us last month, there's still like 1 or 2 openings that we're looking to fill or a couple of spots.
Correct.
Okay.
Correct. And then the next budget, there also would be an increase from last year.
Okay.
As he ramps up. Yep. Okay, so year to date. So if you look at the year to date, again, very pleased, very favorable to budget. That's the far right corner column. Again, golf, 176,000 favorable. Driving results. There is marinas have bounced back after last year. Aquatics, very pleased with what's done down there. Beach parking. We look at the yacht club is down 147. Beach club and the clubhouse rail driving by good results at golf are all favorable. The police, as you see, as we're ramping up, and then there's some timing with public works, and then finance came in favorable. We do have an open position that we may not fill for now. Marketing also increased revenue. That's pretty much favorable, kind of online, but last year. Okay, so on the balance sheet side and our reserves, we constantly monitor the reserves. We're right at where we've been estimating for the end of this year, April 30th, somewhere around $6.3 million of reserves. Like we've talked before, we believe we're in a good spot. The estimated remaining spend, I will talk about that more over the next couple of months. That's it.
Okay, thank you, John. Compliments to the team for a great job. Treasurer's report, Monica?
Thanks, Stuart. As of, excuse me, as of October 31st, the association had approximately $17 million in cash. Cash decreased $400,000 from the same time period last year. Cash decreased $900,000 from September 2024. We have $11.7 million invested in CDARS. We earned $62,000 in interest income for the month. The remaining $5.3 million is insured sweep accounts, treasury bills, money market, and other operating accounts diversified between 2 local banks.
Thank you, Monica.
Thank you.
Going to open the floor to public comments. Any members wishing to make public comments must state their name and address. Your comments are limited to 5 minutes. Does anybody want to make a public comment? Please come to the podium. Yes, you.
Okay, good morning all and happy holidays. I've been talking with the chief about the
Excuse me, you have to give me your name and your
Dave
address.
Tanner, 65 Skyline Court.
Thank you, Mr. Tanner.
And it's been quite the project. I've been involved in this on and off with OP for quite a while. And recently I've changed my focus a little bit because I've been talking with folks that about their cell phones, and particularly ones that don't have, say, well, no, I don't have a problem. I've been here all this time and I get good reception. So it gets me thinking about, well, why do some people not have a problem and other people have major problems? Seems to be coming down to 2 things. One is Verizon, which for a whole bunch of technical reasons is not on the same sort of page as a lot of the other providers and goes off another tower and has a terrible reputation for their customer service. So some people have Verizon, works for some of them, doesn't work for others, certainly the majority there. Everybody else that is on other providers gets their signal, major signal from the tower that is just outside the north gate, that very big tower that you can see. And that's T-Mobile, AT&T, et cetera. Those folks are not without some problems sometimes, and in talking to them, what I found is usually the problem can be fixed by their kids or their grandkids. It relates to their phone. Okay, with the changing technology, often the phones aren't set up right. They've been updating their software, or they just may have a very old phone. In the case of the Verizon folks, that can still be the case, but often the problems can be solved by switching carriers and going to one of the carriers that is off the tower by the front gate there. Particularly now, and it's a safety issue, as the chief mentioned, there's a lot of phones that are designed for us more senior people, shall I say. And the technology on them now is fantastic. I mean, they'll detect if you fall and will call a number for you. I see one happy face there. You're saying yes. And they'll even, if they can't get a signal, these are like on the new iPhones, they'll switch you to another carrier, even though that's not the carrier you have, and try and go in through them. And if they can't get in that way, it goes to a satellite. And as Tim was telling me now, with the satellite stuff and the connections, they can pin you down type of thing. Even you're in this room, on a map, and send emergency equipment to you. So safety is an important part of this. And there's a lot of good phones out there for that type of thing. You see a lot of them advertised in our AARP magazine. So folks should be looking to that because I think we can solve our own problems for a lot of the reception issues there. But to the extent that it doesn't, when we go ahead and we look at other solutions, such as putting up a tower, I'm very concerned about that because there's a lot of options there. I guess have a company that we're talking to that is working on a proposal. I would really like to know, and I know it's not in any final stage or the like, but if a company is working on a proposal, they must be looking at sites for us within Ocean Pines. And John, I don't know if you can address that, but I really think the membership deserves to know where those sites are. It's kind of funny that I see on the agenda here that later we're going to be talking about being a plaintiff about the wind towers over in Ocean City. Well, this is like for Ocean Pines, one, to the extent they're going to put in a new tower and there are people going to go on it, it's going to benefit Ocean City, maybe even more than it benefits Ocean Pines. And this is like if the wind company was putting the tower on the beach in Ocean City. We're putting a huge tower right in Ocean Pines somewhere. We shouldn't be considering that. Another way to go with this is, as I mentioned, the tower out at by the North Gate is owned by a company called
Excuse me,
Crown
Dave,
Castle.
you reached your 5-minute
Yeah,
max. Thank
okay.
you very much, sir.
Okay, Crown Castle, we should approach Crown Castle because they can
Thank you.
put in maybe,
Are there any more public comments? Yes, ma'am. Come forward, your name and state your address, and you're limited to 5 minutes also.
My name is Carol Frazier. I live at 64 Bramblewood Drive. And I wanted to thank the Public Works Department. They cleaned up around the mailboxes there on Bel Air, no, not Bel Air, whatever that is. Wherever our mailbox is, there's just a court there. It looks really, really nice. It looked really bad for a long time. My concern is this. I've noticed along my street, and I'm sure it's happening along other streets too, there are areas of the edge of the pavement that are really, really in bad shape. I mean, they come in like almost a foot of broken, they're broken off. And when you're coming down the road and you're trying to get around, there's a car coming and there are people walking their dogs and pushing their children in a stroller, which is one of the things I love the most about Ocean Pines, is all the people outside and everything. You're running a danger, I think, of damaging your vehicle, trying to get way over on the edge when it's, there's a hole like almost a foot that goes for several feet right in front of my house, of area where you are going to be uneven, if you know what I mean. So anyway, I don't know who handles that. Is that a county issue? Would I ask the county about that? I mean, I think the county is responsible for road maintenance, right?
No, that's Ocean Pines.
Okay, all right.
My suggestion to you is to send your issue to
Mhm.
info@oceanpines.org.
Yeah,
Linda will get it
okay.
and she'll send someone over to take a look at the situation.
Okay, yeah, because it's more than just my street. There's a lot of places where this is happening, so.
Okay, thank you very much,
Thank
Ms.
you.
Frazier.
That's all I had to say.
Are there any more public comments? Morning, please state your name and your address, and you're limited to 5 minutes also.
Good morning. My name is Scott Schellenberger. I live at 44, well, I'm part-time, 44 Quarterstaff Place. The purpose for me to be here today is in regards to what happened last Saturday. So you may recognize my name. My wife was killed on Ocean Parkway on May 1st, 2023. It was very disappointing to me that no one from Ocean Pines ever reached out to me. Not even to say they're sorry for my loss or anything. I wrote emails to Chris Heiser, Mary Beth Carrazzo, and a few other people, because my biggest concern is you can't idiot-proof things, for lack of better words. The girl that killed Pam was texting and she was speeding. Nothing you can do about, people are going to choose to do the wrong things. I mean, that's life. That's the way it is. And it was disappointing to me because legally, they couldn't do a whole lot to that girl. So that was the point of my letter was, hey, I still walk around here. I walk King Richard all the time. You know, I spend about a third of my year down here. And I see a lot of things that are wrong. King Richard is specifically is with that new construction is bad. And so I am here. I've never heard anything back. I know Chris forwarded my emails and my concerns to you all. It is what it is. But then this happened and I've not made any comments, but I commented on that because it's inevitable. It's going to happen here because this is publicized as a residential community, but the infrastructure is not residential. I mean, my house in PA is residential. You know, there's rules and whatever. And with the amount of kids, if you go King Richard, these portable basketball nets and so forth is pushing the kids out in the road, shooting hoops, whatever, and people just fly. You know, and I'm not an expert, but, you know, I just think there's something that, like, from a safety standpoint that, you know, can be done. Is it speed humps? Is it visual? I got to meet Patty yesterday, had a lunch meeting. She has some great ideas as far as visuals, but what can you do to slow someone down? You know, if there was a speed hump there, right at that corner, maybe Pam lives. I don't know, you know.
Well, you're talking, excuse me, Mr. Schoenberger, my deepest condolences for your loss. I can't imagine, but the chief is sitting right here and he has heard you. Trust me.
Okay. And I appreciate that. And, you know, I carry Pam with me, her ashes. But, you know, anything that could prevent somebody else going through this, you know, that guy's family, it's never ending. I hear that thud and I see her flying through the air all the time. It's just a hard thing to live with. So, thank you.
Very sorry for your loss, sir. Are there any more public comments? Please come up to the podium and state your name and your address. And again, I'm sorry, you're limited to 5 minutes. Thank you.
Lynn Shannon, 37 Garrett Drive. I just want to ask if we could maybe get a sign at the entrance. I'm in the north gate that says maybe, you know, take up the slack because people are leaving car lengths and maybe car and a half lengths, and it's harder for everybody to get through. Excuse me, the light. So if people would, and then plus people can go and take a right onto 113 if people weren't backing all the way up. That's just a suggestion, like they put the signs for the duck crossing. I thought that was wonderful. Second thing is, in my backyard, I have a cemetery, and I was asked by some of the people in the development to help maintain that cemetery. And I'm too freaked out to go back there, and it's kind of overgrown because apparently it's soft, you know, the cemetery, it's just, you know, I don't want to end up in there, but so maybe we can pick up the you know, slack on getting rid of the vines and the weeds and things like that back there because it's pretty overgrown. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Shannon. John?
We can do that. We'll, Linda will reach out to you. We'll get the information and I'll have somebody over there to do it.
Thank you. Any more public comments? Please come up to the podium, state your name and address. And again, you're limited to 5 minutes.
Good morning, board members and staff and neighbors. You've heard several comments this morning already.
Excuse me, I need your name.
I'm so sorry. Sorry, Mr. Lacknick. My name is Patty Stevens. I live at 171 Nottingham Lane. Aside from the victim's family and the neighbors that were directly impacted, there probably is nobody that is more distressed and discouraged about what happened last week because, as you know, I've been working for almost 4 years as a volunteer in our community and in our county to try to make this a safer place to walk and bike. And as was said by the chief and by Mr. Schellenberg, this, although we in the bike and ped advocacy community don't call these accidents, because most of them are preventable. Most of them are preventable, as we've talked before, about education, engineering, and enforcement. And I was distressed, not just by the death, but also by the comments I read online by our neighbors that said nobody's doing anything, or the HOA doesn't care, or the police department doesn't care, because I know that's not true. And I know that lots has been done in this community. I know that Josh has addressed the education side with communications messages, banners, signage, and messages in the newsletter. I know the chief has worked on enforcement with speed stops, with the signage that tells people that they're speeding. So we've done work on that, and Eddie Wells has worked on some of the engineering by putting in crosswalks on Robin Hood and working on the crosswalk connection there at Manklin Creek. And these are all good progress. But the main thoroughfare in our community is Ocean Parkway. And people on these comments also said, well, why were they walking on that road? They shouldn't be walking on that road. Well, the neighborhood was designed. You can't get from your house to the mailbox without walking on that road. You can't get to the school bus stop without walking on the road. So as was said earlier, this was designed, in my history reading and hearing meetings here, as a summer community. And it's not a summer community anymore. It's a year-round, robust community where people age in place on their walkers. They walk from where I live in Nottingham. There's a gentleman on his walker, a woman on her bike, who go get their groceries at the Food Lion. There are parents with children that walk them to the beautiful playgrounds and parks we have. So we need to do something more with the engineering of the main thoroughfare of our road. A year or so ago, Dr. Paul Rogers brought to you a recommendation and a request to do an engineering safety study. Other communities in our county have done that. Berlin is in the process of doing that with a federal grant. Snow Hill has done it with a state grant, and Pocomoke is about to undertake it with a federal grant. They're smaller communities than we are. They are smaller communities than we are, and they are committing to study the safety of their roadways and their intersections to make their community safer, to improve sidewalk connections. We can do that here. I know that you care, and I know that have a wonderful community that touts the banner as you enter. This is the safest community in the United States. And I say that to my neighbors that visit from Northern Virginia when they're shocked that I don't lock my door when I go to the grocery store. We have a safe community when you're in your home, but when you're on the road or in the neighborhood, you're not safe. It's not safe, and it's not getting better. And so I would like to ask this board and our administration to commit resources. If you don't like the recommendation that was made earlier about widening the shoulder, narrowing the driving lane, which is a strategy that's been done all around the country with success. It was actually mentioned last week in Washington. I was at the National Ride for Your Life honoring victims of road violence, and the Federal Highway Administrator recommended that as a known best practice in the residential communities. But if you don't like that strategy, or don't think my study alone by Johns Hopkins is the right path, let's engage professionals. There are people that can do this work, that can come in and evaluate even things like Ms. Carroll mentioned, where people are cutting the corners on the roadways. You can see that when the cars cut the corners, then if you happen to be standing there, you're in big trouble. So I ask you to please make this a priority. Commit the resources this year, not in another year, because otherwise we're going to be one of those communities where we, like Los Angeles and Cleveland and Cincinnati have done, where we put up road memorials.
I'm sorry, your time's up.
Sure, thank you.
Thank you very much.
We don't want memorials for deaths on our roads. Thank you so
Agreed.
much.
Agreed. Are there any more public comments? Please come up to the podium, state your name and address, and you're also limited.
Good morning. Tim McMullen, 174 Nottingham Lane. I've been in Ocean Pines for 50 years, full-time or part-time. I am Patty's neighbor across the street. There will be a tragedy on Nottingham right before Footbridge, because I'm out there many times, and they're going 40 miles an hour on this little curve. I have 3 grandchildren. When they come down, I cannot have them out in my front yard. I'm a big advocate of speed bumps. With the help of our general manager, we put speed bumps in at the Racket Center where I work because there was going to be an accident. And now it's much safer because we put speed bumps in. Please pay attention to what Patty is saying. You're going to have another tragedy, and my heart goes out to you. I think there should be speed bumps on our parkway. And you pick and decide where you're going to put them. But if that means that somebody slows down from 40 miles to 25, we could be saving the life of a young child. And I'm a child advocate. My late wife and I started the summer youth program. I'm a docent for our Veterans Memorial, and I'm a big child proponent. Protect your children. That should be one of your mission statements that come out of Patty's message today. It's crucial. My second reason I'm here, I'd like you to come visit the Racket Center. I hope all of you know where it's located, and I want you to visit the Racket Center before the renovation starts, so you can then see what's happened afterwards because of Frank Brown and John Viola. We are the only facility in the Delmarva Peninsula that has pickleball, tennis, and racquetball, platform tennis in the same facility. There's no other place in the Delmarva Peninsula. Folks, I don't mean to ruffle your feathers, but I never see any of you at the Racket Center. Please come in. We open up at 6:30 in the morning. And I'd love to see you, and we'd love to take you for a tour. Those who have been here, thank you. I appreciate it. But I would like all of you to please stop by and see us before the renovation starts. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. McMullen. On the record, I have been there. Any other public comments? Seeing no more public comments, I'm going to close the floor to public comments. We're going to move over to capital requests. We have none. We're moving over to CPI violations. Linda?
Okay, all these violations have received the first and second notice and was provided per resolution MO1. No hearing was requested. Violation continues, and we're recommending report the violations illegal and suspend voting and amenity rights. We are removing 3 of them: 9 Chestnut Way, 33 Greenwood Lane, and 7 Sassafras. 1 was resolved. 2 of them have asked for extension. So the following violations: 255 Windjammer Road, 736 Ocean Parkway, 26 Tail of the Fox Drive, 66 Nottingham Lane, 44 Footbridge Trail, 91 Nottingham Lane, and 819 Ocean Parkway.
Linda, did you miss 6 Frigate Run? Okay. I must have an older copy then. Never mind. Motion to move to legal for processing and to suspend the amenities and voting rights of those mentioned. Do I have a second? Second. Do I have a discussion? Any discussion on this? Seeing no discussion, I call in question. All in favor of moving to legal these CPI violations, please signify by saying aye. Aye. Any opposed? Any abstentions? Motion passes. Unfinished business, we have none. We're up to new business, water quality monitoring. Sue Chalice from Marine Activities Committee.
Good morning.
Good morning.
We have good news. I wanted to first thank our board liaison, John Latham, because with the Marine Activities Committee, I feel like we're a really proactive group. When we meet, we try to get things done or things recommended. We listen to our community. I hope we have a special email set up where residents can, give us their input on what they're looking at in the marine activities area. We've been really successful in working with the board, with Public Works, with everyone in Ocean Pines in the past 6 months or so just no wake buoys, for instance, around that people have asked for, shoal markers. But this water quality testing project came out of a lot of residents asking, what are you doing about water quality? Is the water quality good in our canals? And the answer, we have preliminary data that it's looking pretty good and pretty consistent. And this morning I have Taylor Swanson, who's our partner in this particular program. He is now the executive director and the Assateague Coastkeeper. So he's doing double duty. He's been wonderful. This organization came and did a presentation for our group for marine activities earlier this year. And one of the things they have been wanting to do is water quality testing. And we said, let's see what we can do. We went to the board, thank you, and got a small grant, and we were able to get test kits. They're actually really good. We actually put water quality samples in test tubes. We think we're really smart now. But and there are little tabs that go in each one, and we're testing for various nutrients. Taylor and his group tests for bacteria in the water, and those results are every Friday during the season. They're posted online. So that's bacteria. We're testing for nutrients, basic quality of the water. How much nitrate is there? How much phosphorus, dissolved oxygen? And we have, as I said, preliminary results. We only have 6 weeks of testing right now, but we have enough kits that we were able to order at a very discounted price because I'm a good shopper. And we will be able to pick up the testing again in the spring. And we'll be able to do 16 weeks of testing. So we'll have a whole year's worth of data. And I think, and we'll be able to present that to the community. We'll be able to look at the water quality in different temperatures. You know, right now we only have summer. And that was the water, as you know, was really pretty warm because the temperatures were up. But, you know, when we're testing in the spring, starting in April, the water will be completely different. Our algae blooms will probably be really present. So we're getting different pictures of different areas. We have 5 different areas around Ocean Pines that we've been testing. If Taylor wants to get more technical on this.
I can take a deep dive.
Yeah, take it.
With my 2 minutes, I'll be efficient. It's a pleasure to meet you all. I'm very impressed with this meeting. Just to say, I go to a lot of HOA meetings and community association meetings, and I'm very impressed with Ocean Pines. Again, my name is Taylor Swanson. I'm your Assateague Coastkeeper, and I'm the executive director for the organization Assateague Coastal Trust, which has been an advocacy organization for this region at large for 50 years since the creation and preservation of Assateague Island. To kind of go in on the 2 pieces we're talking about here, which is why are we going to water quality monitor and what are we hoping to learn? I heard a great analogy at one point for why we would want to do water quality monitoring in the first place, and it has to do with money. If you take your money to an accountant and you say, I want you to take my money, I want you to make me more money, the first question the accountant would ask you is, how much money do you have? And if you told the accountant, I don't know, they would laugh you out of the room. They would give you no solutions. You know, it would be all guesswork. And so that's what you could view us at right now. We're your accountant for how we could work on the water quality for Ocean Pines here and for the canal systems, for the ponds you have, for the small lakes you have. But the first thing we need to do is we need to understand what is in the water in the first place. What are the inputs coming into the water? And then we can work on campaigns. We can work on solutions that take what you do as a board of directors, what we do here with the Marine Advisory Committee, and we can pass that on to citizens to show them how their impact on the land, what they do on the landscape influences the quality of the water. We can have clean water, clear water, beautiful water that you could fish in, that you could swim in right here in the canals. And you already have wonderful water, but it could be better. We are testing for a couple different parameters. We have 5 testing locations. These have been strategically chosen across Ocean Pines at large to try to give us a snapshot of what is happening in the water and what kind of inputs that we're seeing. So this includes the White Horse Park boat ramp, the upper end of Manklin Creek where it's the shallowest, so farthest reach of the tributary, a residential canal close to the Ocean Pines Golf Course, Ocean Pines Yacht Club, and the Bainbridge Park Pond. At each of these sites, with the test kit Sue showed you, we're testing for a variety of different parameters. This includes dissolved oxygen, nitrogen, phosphorus, pH, temperature, and turbidity. Each of these gives us a different piece of the puzzle for what we're looking at in the water, what kind of inputs we're seeing. In particular, we're very interested in the impacts of nitrogen and phosphorus coming into the water, where we're seeing biggest quantity, and then we're going to use that data to try to identify where the big sources are of nitrogen and phosphorus coming into Ocean Pines. Because everything that comes into Ocean Pines eventually ends up in your coastal bay. And so your ability as a community to address what's happening in your canals has a profound impact on the coastal bays at large. Again, we have our own water quality monitoring program. We're monitoring sites across Assawoman and Isle of Wight Bay. That includes many of these parameters, but with the addition of bacteria. We take an angle of trying to look at the most popular fishing and swimming spots across the bay to make sure people are safe. We post our data online every Friday through Memorial Day to Labor Day. What we hope to now see with this project, so this project began in kind of the end of summer, beginning of fall month, where we do see a sharp decline in nitrogen and phosphorus coming into the waterway. This project will resume at the beginning of April. And what we hope to see is those spring rains that start in April, the warming of temperatures that brings a lot of excess nutrients into the waterway. It could be from applying lawn fertilizer, spraying herbicide or pesticides that break down. It could be from trash. It could be from leaf litter. I am wonderfully delighted to hear that you have a leaf cleaning pickup service. Across the coastal bays, across the Chesapeake, leaf litter getting into the waterways is actually a very large source of nutrients when it's leaves that were not meant to go in the water in the first place. So I sincerely applaud you for that program. It will make a big difference. What else can we share on this? We will have data come next year that we'll be eager to show. It will be important that this program continue for some time so that we can start to see trends throughout the years, because you can never know when you're going to have a certain spike from an anomaly, and we don't want to be presenting data to you that's not statistically significant. So I think that's where I could leave it, and hopefully we could open the floor for some questions. Sue may have a few other comments to share.
Yeah, I just wanted to make one addition. We have 4 members of our Marine Activities Advisory Committee who are we are doing the testing, myself included. It's been really a great experience, and now we're practiced and we're pretty good at it. We've been doing every other Wednesday during the testing period. We'll pick it up, as Taylor said, in April. So we do it at the same time of day. So we're all on the same page. We fill out the form that we developed. We made a few changes to that probably for spring, but we fill out a form, and then all of the information goes into a database that they're building at Assateague Coastal Trust. I just wanted to give you some preliminary things, like pH, for instance, is one thing that we're testing. It's the basic quality building block, I guess, of water. The preliminary stuff that we had is pretty consistent across 5 sites that we've been testing. And 7 is the range, I guess the range that says it's pretty neutral. It's also, according to the testing parameters that we're using, rated excellent. And it's been interesting in the hot months of summer. We've been getting 7s pretty much across the board. So that's a good sign, I think. And also the highest levels of dissolved oxygen, also a good thing, because dissolved oxygen, it's like healthy and stable. Means your water is healthy and stable. We're getting the highest ratings in the golf course area.
I'm sorry, we got to kind of wrap up. We can kind of.
Oh, well, the golf course area and Bainbridge Park. So.
But thank you very much. Anybody having questions or want to discuss this with Sue and Taylor, you see them after the meeting. Thank you very much,
Thank you.
folks. We're going to move, thank you very much. We're going to move ahead to the next order of business, new directional signs for facilities amenities. Elaine Brady.
Yes, in kind of in concert with our signage cleanup that we are working on down the parkway. And I think some of you will be glad that this effort is ongoing. As you know, going down Ocean Parkway has been a clutter of signs over the years. And not only do we need to get into compliance with county regulations, you all will be glad about that. We're also doing it for beautification. I think as we had mentioned in a prior meeting, the chief was tapped directional signage or the traffic kind required. And I think most of you drive Parkway now notice a difference. It looks more like community. And for safety reasons, a lot of what I do, we try to take off the information ones in the box and move that in my reverb. Thank you. Does everybody hear me better? That we're trying to take off all of that distracting signage on the parkway. It is a safety issue. It's also a beautification issue, but very much so for safety reasons. We're looking to move those signs and hopefully we'll get final approvals from the county shortly to just have a few signs just at our entrances. That's where they belong when you're looking at signage, informational signage, not in our residential communities. But also in this effort, the communications committee has asked that we look at the beautification of our signage. Right now, our signage for directions to each of the facilities are very large metal signs. They're blue and black, which, you know, the nature of our community is really nature, you know, it's water and woods and that sort of thing. And they just don't look good. When you go into new communities, you see a cohesive look. And ours is very hodgepodge. So what they're asking us to do is to charge our operations team to come up with some design plans so that we can replace those signage, especially as they're needing to be replaced, and they probably are at about that point, that we have a look, a cohesive look throughout the community. And so that is just my suggestion.
Okay, do I have a motion to approve new directional signs for facilities and amenities? Vote second.
This is just
Oh.
charging document.
It's just a charge.
Just informational.
Yeah.
My mistake. Go ahead.
Mhm.
Yeah. Monica.
So, thank you. So this is just to have the committee look into this. We're not authorizing the committee to.
No, we want to move it to operations to actually come up with some concept designs.
Yep.
And then,
Okay.
yeah, just because we've got this hodgepodge look and this is kind of part, you know, working on the safety and the compliance issues, we need to also work on the beautification.
Okay. Thank
Okay,
you.
Thank you, Elaine. Next on our docket is the first reading of Resolution MO9, the candidate search process for Ocean Pines Board election. Steve Jacobs.
Thank you, Stuart. Motion is to amend Resolution M09 to be more consistent with the OPA bylaws and the board candidate vetting process. The purpose and effect of the proposed resolution would amend the current resolution regarding the search committee and would assure that the correct candidate application form is appended to this resolution. Background, the bylaws of the Ocean Pines Association provide for the OPA's president's appointment of a search committee subject to confirmation by the board and with the provision that the lack of a search committee has no effect on the validity of the election. In addition, the application form for the candidate board has also been changed and should be an attachment to this resolution. Again, the bylaws contemplate appointment of a Search Committee each year by the OPA president, subject to confirmation by the board. With the provision that the search committee has no effect on the validity of the election. Over the last several years, a search committee has not been appointed. Based on including prior to the election review and modification of our, wherever I was, modification of our bylaws, there had been a discussion regarding the need for a search committee. In addition, this proposed resolution corrects deadlines between the current resolution and requirements found in other of our governing documents. It removes the redundant, incorrect provisions, aligns responsibilities in this resolution with that which is found in the bylaws relating to the role of the association secretary, and adds to this resolution the correct application form for all board candidates. There are also some formatting modifications and minor technical and conforming corrections as well. There is I think it's fair to say, an inconsistency between our resolutions and our bylaws. This is an attempt in part to address that and also to correct other problems that have arisen over the last several years, part of which have been called to our attention by the Elections Committee, part of which also came up from the Bylaws Committee. And then I think I'm correct to say there'll be perhaps some further changes to what the attached resolution reads right now, and we'll bring it back for a vote on the second reading.
Thank you, Steve. Is there any discussion? Yes, Jeffrey.
Thanks, Steve. I think it was good work done on this. On attachment A, under board responsibilities, there is a typo on the third bullet, one where it says it should say property owners, it's spelled wrong. And under election committee, the last sentence, candidates will be asked to participate in a candidate forum, probably should say candidates may.
Okay.
Thank you, Jeff. Any more discussion? Okay, we'll move forward to a second reading in the December meeting. Moving on, the motion to approve participation as a co-plaintiff in the lawsuit for U.S. Wind Project. Rick Farr?
Thank you, Stuart. The motion is to approve participation. Excuse me. To approve participation by OPA as a named co-plaintiff in the lawsuit already filed by the town of Ocean City and other federal court in the United States District Court for the District Court of Maryland, challenging the unlawful and federal government issuance of permits and approval authorizing the construction of the Maryland offshore wind project by energy developers U.S. Winds, with the condition that OPA participation in this litigation will not generate any litigation fees or costs to OPA. The purpose and effect to effectuate participation of OPA as the named plaintiff with many other plaintiffs in the lawsuit challenging the approval of the offshore wind project. The U.S. Wind Project was approved in a joint decision issued by the Department of the Interior Bureau of Ocean Energy Management and the U.S. Commerce Department National Marine Fisheries Service. Other plaintiffs in the case include Worcester County, the town of Fenwick Island, Delaware, Cane Woods Community Association, Little Salisbury Civic Association, the Ocean City Chamber of Commerce, Sunset Marina, Watermen's Association of Worcester County, the White Marlin Open, Save the Right Whales Coalition, Ocean City Marlin Club, Ocean City Development Corp., the Harrison Group, Castle in the Sand, and the Coastal Association of Realtors, among others. In the background, the U.S. Wind Project will contain 114 massive offshore wind turbines to be sited just 10.7 miles off the coast of Ocean City, Maryland, and Fenwick Island, Delaware. These turbines will be visible from shore and lighted at night. Although, essentially to support the sound environmental policy, the government approval of this project violates some of our nation's most vulnerable and effective environmental protection laws, including the National Environment Protection Agency, the NEPA, which requires agencies to take a hard look at the environmental consequences of their actions before doing so. So the Endangered Species Act, the ESA, which requires agencies to ensure that the actions do not jeopardize species on the brink of extinction, in the instance, the North Atlantic right whale and 4 species of endangered birds, the Marine Mammal Protection Act, the Migratory Bird Treaty Act, the Coastal Zone Management Act, and the National Historical Prevention Act. As the lawsuit alleges, the federal government also ignored the substantial adverse effects this project will have on the 10 miles of beautiful beaches along Ocean City, Maryland, including locations of Ocean Pines Association's Beach Club. Our tourism, our industry are economic based directly on commercial and recreational fishing, bird and whale watching, and open and unindustrialized views of the Atlantic Ocean. The lawsuit seeks a ruling from the federal district court that the federal government has violated the federal environmental laws by issuing the permits and approvals for this project, and further seeks a holding that the agencies must comply with the laws and regulations enacted and protected our ocean environment regardless of the government energy goals. In discussion, as an owner of oceanfront property, the Beach Club, and more generally as the home of the largest population base in Worcester County, OPA, like Ocean City, Worcester County, and Fenwick Island, Delaware, has a direct and material interest in this case and issuance presented in this case. The offshore wind project will adversely affect local economic conditions, local and regional environmental conditions, and aquatic species, and the importance of the Atlantic Ocean viewshed. As the lawsuit alleges, all of these resulting effects have not been adequately considered by the federal agencies who have approved on a fast track the enormous offshore project called for the installation of 114 turbines, each one existing 900 feet from the surface of the ocean. Direct participation by OPA as a named co-plaintiff in this case will reflect OPA's strong interest in standing in this matter and its allied positions with all other named plaintiffs.
Thank you, Rick. I'm going to move a motion to approve participation as a co-plaintiff in the lawsuit for U.S. Wind Project. Do I have a second?
Can we have some conversation?
It has to be seconded first. Do I have a second?
Second.
Okay. Discussion. I want to suspend Robert's rules for a moment. We have Mayor Meehan from Ocean City, and he would like to address this. Mr. Meehan?
Mr. President, members of the board, thank you for having us here today. Actually, I'm here to answer any questions you may have with regard to what's been presented, and I think very clearly by your Vice President. I could talk about this for a long time, so I can make it as long or as short as you'd like me to. I first got involved in this almost 8 years ago. The first time I saw the renderings of this project as they were presented by the Public Service Commission of Maryland. And at that time, the wind turbines were half the size they are today. And at that time, I objected and asked them to reconsider and to take a better look at this project, not just from a visual standpoint, but how it affects this entire area. That was 8 years ago. Since that time, I've made that same request more times than I can even imagine. And each time it's been ignored. And I think what is clear has been presented here is a lot of these things have been fast-tracked. If this was any other project, these other conditions would have been required and would have been met. The town of Ocean City is not in opposition to reducing our carbon footprint. We're not in opposition to clean energy. And when I say the town of Ocean City, I also mean everybody else that's a co-plaintiff. What we are in opposition to is a project that hasn't been clearly vetted and a bad project. There are good projects and there are bad projects. As presented, this is a bad project. And I think we all have to stand together, and I appreciate the opportunity and what the board is doing today. Because if we don't stand up for ourselves, what I can tell you, and I've learned, is nobody else is going to. And the Eastern Shore has to have a voice. We've been promised a voice, but so far, all they do is watch our lips move. They don't actually hear what's being said. And I think it's extremely important for this area. Mr. President, you opened this meeting by saying we live in a special place. And I think each and every one of us here believes we live in a special place. And what's being proposed, without being thoroughly vetted and going through the proper process, threatens this very special place. So I can answer any questions you may have about this. I see that Commissioner President Cipriano is with us today, and we stand together with the county commissioners in our opposition. Just as an aside, I'll tell you real quick, the Commissioner President and I were just before the Board of Public Works in Annapolis on Wednesday, because of a proposal to approve changes to the West Ocean City Harbor. Those changes, if they're approved and that happens, and they build that pier and they remove those buildings, which are the only buildings in the West Ocean City Harbor where our commercial fishermen can offload their catch and process their fish, it will eliminate the commercial fishing industry in Worcester County. And that's a fact. And they're trying to offer compensation to our fishermen in lieu of allowing them to continue with their jobs. I've heard jobs associated with this project mentioned many times. Well, these are Eastern Shore jobs, and this is part of our heritage and our way of life in Worcester County. And again, it's being challenged, and we were defeated in our opposition. But that's only step one. This is the final step, not the final step, but a step that's necessary. It's the last thing we wanted to do. The town of Ocean City and the other co-plaintiffs, the last thing we want to do is file suit against the federal government. But like I said, if we don't stand up for ourselves, nobody else is going to. With that said, I'll be happy to answer any questions the board may have.
Sure. Mr. Mayor, thank you for coming out. I had one question, and I do appreciate the information that you've provided. I understand with the town and with the county is in opposition. Do we have anybody that you may know at the federal level that is an advocate on our side to prevent or have or is in opposition to making this happen? Do we have any friends, if you will, on that level?
We do. Congressman Harris has been a true friend, certainly recognizes the concerns. As far as the politics and a new administration, I don't really want to go too far into that today. Right. That can be divisive, but I think there's a different philosophy. This has been fast-tracked to meet goals. It's been fast-tracked by local and I think federal government or state and federal government to meet goals. And the goals are important, but not to meet them and look back and have people say, how did you ever let this happen? And that's exactly what will occur if this project is built.
And I just want to let our residents know the reason why that Ocean Pines is looking to conjoin is we have an incredible piece of property in Ocean City, and that's the Beach Club that overlooks an incredible view of the Atlantic Ocean. And this would have a definite adverse effect on our view, the pristine view that we have currently when we are enjoying the Beach Club and enjoying the beach. So this is one of the main reasons that we are looking to conjoin in this process.
And I do believe that it will affect property values and our economy in this entire area. And that's something that we all need to be concerned about.
Yeah. Anybody have any questions from the audience that you would like to ask Mayor Mann? Yes, ma'am. Sure. It's connected. It's being done because of the U.S. Wind project. So it is U.S. Wind that is purchasing the property to build the pier. It needs to be approved by the state. Yes. And there are county approvals that need to be met as well. Yes. Yes, sir, in the back. Mm-hmm.
Tide levels reached my foundation level. So that's a concern about the environment going forward. So any environmental improvement in terms of energy generation, I'm typically in favor of. Since that time, Ocean City has sponsored, I believe, a solar project and benefits from that solar project. That is just a terrific thing. What's happened recently, though, with the wind farm off of Nantucket is one of the turbines failed. This is one of the very large turbines that are recently introduced to this technology. And the fact that it failed and wasn't noticed, and that the shards of these blades were coming ashore in the beach of the Nantucket was unacceptable. And I've changed my position because of that incident. These turbines have gotten larger than the technology has been able to control. So that one incident to me would be the breaking point where we have to say no.
Those are the same turbines that are being proposed off the coast of Ocean City. And just, I know it was mentioned how big they are. They're 938 feet tall. That's over 3.5 times the height of the tallest building in Ocean City. And they would, if they were on land, they would be the tallest structures in the state of Maryland.
I'd like to recognize Jeff Ebner.
Thank you, Stuart. For the sake of transparency, I just want to let everybody know that I have a deep history with both Ocean City and our national energy. My dad had a business on the boardwalk in the 70s and 80s, and I worked there until I went to college and used that beach about every day during the summertime. I've spent 31 years with the biggest oil company in the world, ExxonMobil, and we do a lot with green energy. And like the mayor said, we are in support of reducing carbon footprint and a responsible way to get to our green energy goals. This particular windmill project is a misinformed and untested rush or race to a really blind energy policy. There's a lot better ways and paths to get to our green energy goals. And a lot of the national oil companies support this. And they're not harmful in the way that this wind turbine project is on a path to do to our environment. It's untested in such a harsh environment. These wind turbines hold a couple 100 gallons of hydraulic oil, 100 or so gallons of gear oil, and not to mention the blades. It's a really harsh environment, and there are going to be failures, and it is going to impact the beach. It's untested or unsubstantially harm to our marine life. There is a tremendous amount of vibration that come from these turbine blades. Vibration is the killer of everything in industry, in machines, in our environment. It will kill. It's untested, and there's one place that it is tested. And I have a picture here that's been given to us. This is what the horizon will look like with these things just under 11 miles off our coast. I don't go to the beach to look at an industrial picture like this. It's going to affect a lot of tourism and our economy. I'm asking my fellow board members to support this motion to join this lawsuit. Thank you.
Thank you, Jeff. Yes, ma'am.
And when what they don't do. And the worst part is that their agreements with state and federal are very quietly, both cases have Less than 20. At times, they literally. Others, you're wrong. Out there among that to us that mess up. And once that stuff gets into an industrial stuff, as Jeff said, there's absolutely.
That's fine.
I'm taking you with me to the next. Thank you. It's true. It's true.
I want you to look at the people in this room. There are hundreds of people coming here, according to the Ocean City Police Department. I will guarantee you that 75% of them are opposed to this to the point of it is the hill we will die on. Because our county, our city, it'll all die. And that's just the bottom line. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Yes, ma'am, you can.
No, it's US Wind is a Italian owned company with a great name.
John.
Yeah, so I will be supporting my colleagues here for everything. And thank you, Mr. Mayor. Thank you, Terry, for you guys coming out today to help us. Personally, I've been coming to Ocean City as a kid all my life, so the beach is important. You know, I plan on, you know, spending a lot of time here. I want my kids to enjoy the beach. This is obscene. This is obscene. Again, to some of the reasons my colleagues had mentioned, we have a multi-million-dollar beach club out there. That's, you know, that's a reason for Ocean Pines. But personally, I fish inshore and offshore. I know, you know, I know everybody down at the docks. I know those people that how they make their living. And to Mayor Meehan's point, you know, it'll decimate that business. And there's no chance that I support anything like this. You know, I'm not a scientist. I can't talk to you about how the blue whale, it affects the blue whales or whatnot, but I'm sure it's not good. And I haven't read one thing that someone wrote that made remotely any sense. Comments we get are folks that don't even live in Maryland that back this project. Like, where do you live? Oh, I'm in Jersey. Have you ever been to Ocean City, Maryland? They don't even know where Ocean City's at. But I'll be standing with our group here.
Thank you, John. Monica?
You know, go up and down the California coastline. More than half of those things aren't working.
Right.
They're
Correct.
broken. So, I mean, aside from, you know, this new company, go out where they've been. They're not working. The majority, more than half, are not working.
Elaine?
Just be real quick. I want to thank you for coming out. You know, having been in the newspaper industry here for and plus much longer, I've been following this for the last 6 to 8 years and was really appalled at all of the information, misinformation, lies that have come out from the people who are trying to ramrod this through. And as was mentioned, these projects only last for a short period of time. And in that time period, they're going to destroy our coast. They're going to destroy our marine life, our fishing, environmentally. It is a horrible project, in addition to the fact that financially, it's not even viable. And the project that is, these projects that are being added in here, they can't even really if it was a good idea, do much for Maryland. It's all going to Delaware. All of this is going to line into the Indian River, and it's not long enough in order to be able to service the homes that we would even need here. It's a bad project from beginning to now, and I'm strongly against it.
One thing I would like to tell everybody, that rendering you're looking at was produced by US Wind. That is not something we produced. That was produced by US Wind. It was included in their plan that they submitted to BOEM. So that's where that rendering comes from.
Mayor, what's the argument on the other side?
They've got a lot of money invested and they want to make a lot of money.
Yeah, I hear you, but with all this detrimental effect on our economy, on our environment, the ocean, how can you make an argument on the other side?
Those comments and concerns have been ignored.
Okay. Yes, sir.
Yes. Yes, we can. And, it's been, like I said, a battle for 8 years. There's yet to be one turbine built. And that's what we're going to continue to do and take it all the way to the top.
Any other questions for Mayor Meehan? Mayor, on behalf of the Board of Directors for Ocean Pines and our staff and operations, thank you very much for coming and addressing this very important topic. I'm going to reinstate Robert's rules, and is there any more discussion on this between us? Seeing no discussion, I will call in question all in favor of conjoining on to the lawsuit with all the other other defendants for against US Wind. Please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Any abstentions? One abstention. Mark that down. Okay, motion passes.
Thank you all
Thank you,
very
sir.
much. Thank you.
Moving on, we're going to motion to approve the appointments of Jack Collins, first-term Budget and Finance Committee, William Huffnall, first-term Budget and Finance. Do I have a second?
Second.
Is there any discussion? Seeing no discussion, I call in question all in favor of these folks getting their terms on Budget and Finance Committee. Please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Any abstentions? Motion carries. Adjournment. Is there a motion to adjourn? Do I have a second?
Second.
All in favor, say aye. Meeting is adjourned. Thank you, folks.